Hi, welcome back to the only YouTube channel that donates 100% of its proceeds to charity, and charity dances at a club down in Gilbert. This is a rehash of an existing project that I did last year. The original set used the Hayabusa throttle bodies, which worked just fine, they just didn't look very pretty. These work just fine, and they look pretty, which is exactly what I was going for. Also, we have a few different options for those of you at home who are looking to do ITBs on an M120. We'll go over those at the end of the video. So huge shout out to Sen Cuts for these flanges. There's 48 tapped M5 holes in these, and they're out of 304 stainless. They're able to handle all of that, and I had a plasma table for years, and by the time I got the cut paths programmed, the table set up, because I'm not really doing it on a day-to-day basis, it's so much easier for me to call them up. They always get the parts to me on time. There's an affiliate link in the description below, and yeah, they're a great resource. So probably a good idea to test this before we commit to the entire thing. This is PA high temperature chopped carbon fiber nylon. It's a PA12 base, I believe. And it has a HDT of about 190, 200 degrees Celsius, which is plenty for an engine. If an engine is running 200 degrees Celsius, we got other problems, or it's a jet. Actually, if your jet engine is running 200 degrees Celsius, it's probably a little bit low. Consult with your manufacturer of your jet engine. Anyways, this is glued to an aluminum block with JB Weld plastic weld, which I've used successfully in the past. The old intake had that, and it has a few good things going for it. A, as it heats up and moves around, it's a little bit flexible, so it shouldn't crack and break. It should flex with the parts as they change a little bit. The other part is it's awfully sticky, and I have had no problems with it coming apart. And C, it has pretty good thermal properties. It's above the plastic, so it shouldn't fail first. So my goal with setting up this linkage was to create something that was infinitely adjustable but didn't move around too much. So I ended up threading these brass bars, one right-hand thread, one left-hand thread, depending on the side, and then the matching threads inside the bosses that actually mount to the throttle body levers themselves with a bearing. There's also a set screw in there, so I can just loosen the set screw, adjust it to wherever I need in and out, like a turnbuckle, and then everything plays fairly nicely. The only downside with this is that means that the first one adjusts and then the rest of them adjust, so it's just a bit of a system to adjust the furthest one out and then move it in and further in and stuff like that. Overall, it gives it a really sleek look while being pretty strong. Velocity stacks. So we're starting out with 6061 aluminum pipe, which is the wrong material to start with. And ultimately, I'm spinning them out on the lathe using a die and making the little rolled over velocity stack that you see. I built one of them. I need 12 of them, which is great. We tried a few different versions of this. We did a carbon fiber version that did not do so well. We're still working on our ability to forge carbon fiber. And there's a few 3D printed versions that I kind of like with speed holes, with golf ball holes in them. And we'll experiment around with that a little bit. But I wanted to get these made. And this is something I've never done before. So it's kind of a fun little test on working with these. So a few of the things I picked up on pretty quickly is, first of all, it has to be cranked down in the jaws really, really tight. I actually built a plug to sit behind it. Also, keep the speed up, but once it's done, it's done. There's no going back in. Aluminum galls so quickly that once that surface, you'll just lose your surface finish almost immediately. But once it was heated up and with a little bit of oil, I built that form tool, and it spun really, really nice. Alright, so we have a fairly simple setup here. We have a little gear motor back here, and we have a very cheap 3-jaw chuck that I know hits absolutely nothing for tolerance. These are nice little press fit anyways, and I'm just going to run a bead around them with the welder. I changed from the M120 injectors to the M137 injectors because I had a set lying around and all of them passed except this one. Probably be a good idea to go replace these anyways because they've been sitting in my backyard for like a while, but I'm gonna see if I can't break it loose. So we're switching ECUs, not really for any rhyme or reason, but I kind of wanted to, and this one seems a little bit easier to set up than the MS3 Pro that I was running. I'm not really changing any of the test board that I built last year, so this should all pretty much stay the same. We cleaned up some wiring up here, and I just got to wire in these new pin connectors because pretty much all the wires that are run to this haven't changed really. So I'm going to get this wired together. Obviously, at some point, all of this is going to get mounted to the car itself, but for right now, good old test board does well. So this became a mess of cords a lot quicker than I thought it would. Usually I tune on a MacBook, which is portable because of the definition. Anyways, the software does not work on a MacBook. So here we are. I dug out an old Optiplex 9020, which frankly the ECU was faster than it at this point, but runs the right software. So plus we get a nice little like tripping hazard that we got going on here. It's nice. So, cool. It cannot be understated how little I know what I'm doing when it comes to tuning. I keep the camera rolling almost exclusively for, you know, if things explode on a big level. More than the little explosions that are supposed to happen in an organized manner. Okay, now we're just not firing. Whoops. This is a cut to 3 days later. Same shirt, but 3 days later. Turns out that an engine needs spark in the right spots, I think, is the important spot to... it was a cam sensor. The cam sensor on this was messed up to stay monetized. And the funny part is I'm running wasted spark on this. I don't need a cam sensor because it fires every rotation anyway, so I don't need like cam position. I don't need to know my top dead center or my ignition stroke. So anyways, fuel's still all over the place, but at least it's like in the ballpark, you know. So that's where we're at. Okay, let's turn on coolant for sure. And then probably turn on the fan in here so I don't die. We're gonna outpace our bucket very quickly as far as temperature goes. So let's talk throttle bodies for a minute, and I'm gonna try and keep this short because otherwise I don't wanna spend 45 minutes going over the intricacies of Hayabusa throttle bodies here. I've ordered probably 10 sets of throttle bodies off of eBay over the years, and the best I can figure out of the Gen 3 Hayabusa, the 97-04 I think, is that there are 3 different styles. There's the 46 mil, which is straight through 46 mil, and then there's a neck down style that's 46 that necks down to like a 40, something like that. I use the 46 straight through that have the 46 mil plates. From that, there are 2 versions, one that's narrow like this and one that has legs. There's a bunch of different configurations depending on whether it's attached to a throttle cable, whether it's attached to a throttle position sensor. So you're never going to get the exact same throttle plate thing that, or the throttle bar that you're going to go through. So it's really hard to design linkage for. So that all being said, this is an in-development idea, a cost-effective solution, and I'm working with Gucci Motors on coming up with a solution that so you don't have to go out and spend a whole bunch of money on custom individual throttle bodies. The flanges and the files that are in the link in the description below are built to take a universal style throttle body. The style that I custom built are the same bolt pattern and bore diameter and height as the Gen V throttle bodies that you can buy off of their website. They also sell ones with injectors, so you don't have to hide the injectors in a really, really dumb place underneath the throttle body like I did. And from there, there's a bunch of off-the-shelf components that you can use that can actually like connect all of those together in a meaningful way. That's all to say, my goal with all of this was to get from the hard-to-mount flange on the M120 to a square bolt flange that you can actually build something off of fairly easily. That's the difficult part, in my opinion, in designing something like this. I included a whole thing about this. It's linked with the files below that go through the entire process and like a few of the different options you have for these motors. Let's all pretend that the camera framing's different or my shirt's a different color from the intro. Maybe I'll change the color of my shirt in post. That'll work. This has been a long project, but it's done. It's ready to go in a car. And speaking of the car, I'm really excited to show you guys the renders of it. I think I'm gonna hold off until the next video, just because I wanna keep it under wraps, but I think it looks fantastic. It should perform really well. Yeah, I'm really stoked about it. We did some really, really cool things. I'm still trying to keep up with the month of video kind of release schedule. It's sort of working out at the moment. But like I said in the last video, like I'm at the point where I only want to release a video unless I'm happy with it. So if it's a little bit longer than a month, that's how it be, I think, unfortunately. Anyways, I really appreciate you guys taking a look at what I'm doing, and I appreciate the feedback. So if you would leave a like, comment down below, tell me what you thought, and go ahead and subscribe, and yeah, thank you guys very much for watching.